Persona 5 X is shockingly good. In some ways, I genuinely think it's better than the original Persona 5. Blasphemy! But sadly, it is also held back in some aspects due to the fact that it is a gacha game. If you have played and enjoyed Persona 5, 3, or 4, you'll probably like Persona X as well. The gameplay is almost a one-to-one copy of P5 with some small differences to better fit the gacha genre. Characters surprisingly have a lot of combat options to choose from. Everyone has a melee attack, ranged attack, 3 skills, an ultimate, and a once more attack. One of my biggest criticisms of turn-based gachas in general is that they are often incredibly bare bones in the combat department. For example, Honkai Star Rail characters have a basic attack, a skill, and an ultimate. That's it. Because of that, Honkai Star Rail and many other turn-based gachas usually become really boring and repetitive, and I quickly lose interest. Persona's wide range of options keeps things fun, engaging, and strategic. This also gives players a wide range of potential team comps. Build a team of heavy damage dealers to annihilate the enemies with raw damage, use healers, tanks, and supports to enhance your main DPS into a god of death, or make a team of healers and tanks to slowly chip away at the enemy. The choice is yours. Also, the animations are gorgeous. Persona has always struggled with combat animations in my opinion. The recently released remake of Persona 3 definitely improved in that aspect. Shit's wild, dog. While not as beautiful from a raw visual fidelity standpoint, Persona X gives every character unique animations for all of their various attacks and ultimates. Because characters have so many combat options, the game has a wide range of playstyles. I'll show you 3 as an example. Sori, as in soy sauce, I'm not kidding, that is literally what he's named after, is a jack of all trades. One skill increases the party's max HP and increases the likelihood of an enemies to attack him. His second skill deals single target ice damage and applies a freeze debuff, and his third skill is a physical single target attack that lowers the enemy's defense. His ultimate deals single target ice damage, heals allies, and increases max HP for your team. Mind you, this dude is a 4-star and he is this jam-packed with abilities. Dude is crazy. I love him. He's a really good character. Highly recommend you build him. He is very powerful. All of this makes him a powerful tank healer DPS hybrid. Banana's first skill increases and deals single target electric damage. Her second hits all enemies with electric damage and paralyzes one of them. And her third skill hits all enemies with electric and will deal a second instance of bonus damage if the enemy is paralyzed. Her ultimate, also known as the Banana Slammer, hits all enemies with electric and paralyzes them. This makes her a good electric damage dealer. Minami's skill 1 deals single target holy damage and gives her a stack of diagnosis, a unique stack that she can spend with her healing skills to remove debuffs from allies. Heal 1 is single target, heal 2 is multi-target, each having other effects as well. And her ultimate is a party heal that removes debuffs, increases max HP, and grants a regen buff for 1 turn. Wild! Because characters have so many options, not only does it give each unit a distinct identity, it helps make continuously playing the game fun because you aren't just using the same one skill over and over and over and over again like in Honkai Star Rail. And to be clear, it's fine if you like Star Rail, but as someone who played that game for 2 years, the simplicity of combat was a big personal grievance. And of course, the main character, Wonder, has the ability to create and equip a wide variety of different personas, each with their own unique skills and passives. This lets you turn Wonder into whatever you want, main DPS, support, tank, healer, the choice is yours. For example, you can turn him into a support with abilities that increase defense for your party, increase attack, heal, increase critical rate, stuff like that. Or you can turn Wonder into a sub DPS. Here's a more detailed example of what I mean. Remember how Banana's third skill will deal a second instance of damage if the enemy is shocked? Well, there's a specific persona that you can create, I forgot her name, but here she is, and one of her abilities is to inflict shock on enemies. You can combine this with Banana to do something like this. Use Banana's skill 1 to increase electric damage, then use Wonder's persona to inflict shock on all enemies, and then use Banana's third skill that will deal a second instance of damage because all of the enemies are under the shock effect. Bada bing, bada boom. And this is just one example of how you can turn Wonder into whatever you need him to be. Personally, I love what they did with the Navigator. In Persona 5, Futaba would randomly give you buffs for no real rhyme or reason. The buffs were really strong, but unreliable because of the randomness. Persona X completely changed how Navigators worked. Now they have 3 distinct skills, and each has a different cooldown timer. For example, the Sexy MILF's first skill has a 4-turn cooldown, which means you can't use her skill again until you use your characters 4 times. Her third skill has a timer of 8, so you have to perform 8 actions until you can use her again. I love this. Not only are the buffs themselves very powerful, having direct control of when and which buff you activate adds an extra layer of depth to this already delicious combat double-decker wedding cake. In case it wasn't glaringly obvious, I love the combat of Persona X. Oh yeah, I should probably mention this. You can create a team of 5 characters, 4 active members and 1 navigator, aka support. However, the main character, Wonder, is required to be in your team at all times. The other 4 members, however, you can freely select. If you're enjoying the video so far, consider becoming a channel member for just $5 a month. There's a join button next to the subscribe button, and if for whatever reason it's not there, because sometimes it isn't, I don't know, YouTube is weird, there's a link in the description. Thank you so much. Let's get on with the video. Combat aside, I'm glad to say that the palaces, aka dungeons, are also okay. They're fine. Not bad, but not great either. Weren't expecting me to say that, were you? Hey man, like I said in the beginning, I like Persona X, but it isn't perfect. Currently, we only have 2 palaces. The first is themed after a baseball stadium stripper bar fusion. Yeah, no, you heard me right, it's crazy. And the second is a gorgeous Japanese estate castle fused with a movie studio. I'll focus on the stadium to better share my thoughts. Visually, I think the palaces are nice. The stadium has a nice range of different locales. Locker rooms, main entrance, outdoors, security offices, stripper bar, etc. But the level design itself isn't anything to write home about. It's mostly just a bunch of hallways connected to small story rooms. At least during the story, that's the case. Once you've completed the story version of the palace, you can freely explore, which gives you access to new locations and puzzles. Level design still isn't incredible, but at the very least there's more to do. Surprisingly, there's a variety of different puzzle types, simple platforming sections, moving a box/boxes in order to activate a button to do something, pressing these thumb buttons in a specific order to open specific doors, walking to light up the floor in a specific order, etc. Usually they are pretty straightforward, but sometimes you do have to use your brain to figure out the solution. And all throughout the palaces you can find treasure chests to get various materials, but more importantly, you can find standard summon tickets randomly laying around, which is crazy. 10 free summons, a single multi just by exploring the palace. Absolutely incredible. Some treasure chests are guarded by these glowing red enemies. These are essentially curated challenges that you have to overcome. For example, in one of them, the big guy with the horse in the middle was unkillable through direct damage. Instead, you had to defeat his minions in order to deal damage and slowly kill him. These are fun combat puzzles to figure out at the appropriate level. But remember, Persona X is a gacha. You could theoretically come back and fight these guys in the future once you've leveled up your characters and turn these challenges into a cakewalk. I recommend you don't do that since it kinda defeats the purpose, but the choice is yours. Although the level design isn't great, I really enjoyed running around, finding treasure, summons, fighting enemies, and solving puzzles. Palaces aren't the only explorable thing in this game, however. Mementos is also explorable. Unlike Persona 5 where the layout of Mementos would always change each time you visited it, in Persona X it has a curated design. It's pretty simple, mostly just a bunch of hallways, but there's plenty of treasure chests and enemies to fight. Honestly, it's just the worst version of the palaces. Outside of collecting the rewards, there's nothing worth noting. Hopefully that will change with future updates, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm honestly not sure how they would even make Mementos better, to be honest, but hey, figuring that out isn't my job, now is it? With that out of the way, let's talk about one of my favorite aspects of the game, the story. Gonna be honest, if you enjoy the stories of the Persona franchise, you will enjoy this game's story as well. The two main villains of the first two palaces are incredibly silly and kinda hard to take seriously. The first villain is an ex-baseball player who decided to spend his retirement by shoving women in the subways. The Subway Slammer. Amazing name. I absolutely love it. At one point, he literally body slams a high school girl like a goddamn rhino and sends her flying over the rail and into the tracks. He's essentially the Timu version of Kamoshida, who is an incredible first villain. The whole situation is really funny and hard to take seriously, to be honest. However, I will say that I did a little research and apparently this is actually a really big problem in Japan. Men will just shove people in the subway, basically harass people, and the cops don't do anything about it. Context makes the villain a little better, but he still isn't great. At the end of the day, the villain and the writing is just really silly and hard to take seriously. The second villain suffers from a similar problem of him being really silly. Story time! Persona X was originally released in China, Taiwan, and Korea a little over a year ago. Apparently, the writer of the first two palaces got fired and was replaced with a different writer, and this writer publicly made fun of the Subway Slammer, which is hilarious. According to players of the original version, the story starting from Palace 3 onwards is dramatically better, so hopefully future villains will be better. Villains aside, I think the writing of the main characters is really good, and honestly my favorite part of the story so far. Banana, Guardians of Gahul. Anybody remember that movie? I loved it. It sucks that we never got a sequel. I really wish we did. And Best Boy Soy. These two dudes and this gal are well written. Backstory, main story developments, jokes, moment to moment writing. All of it is fantastic. Banana's dream of being a baseball player, her lack of motivation stemming from thinking she ruined Koichi's baseball career, and her friendship with Tomoko. Soy and his connection to Pops in the noodle restaurant, his love for cooking, his headstrong single-mindedness, his desire to avenge his father figure. Mr. Owl talks like he's an old 1920s mob boss, and that's about it. He's a big mystery character, so he hasn't developed much, but I like him. And then we have the awful self-insert main character, Wonder. Similar to every other Persona main character, he has no real personality, he doesn't talk much, he just stands there and others talk about how cool he is. Personally, I don't like self-inserts in general, and Wonder is just another boring self-insert. Disappointing, but this is a Persona game, so not surprising. Surprisingly, the game kept the confidant system from the main series games. I'm glad they did, because not only does this help flesh out the main cast, it helps develop the side characters as well. The aspiring nurse, the Chinese foreign exchange student, the rich gamer girl that wants to build a farm with you, Igor's sexy attendant of the week. This dude always has a new one, I swear, it's crazy. The more you hang out with them, the more their synergy level will rise, giving you rewards and unique skills depending on the character. And every couple of levels, you'll get a special hangout where they progress their main synergy story. I haven't progressed too far into these side stories, but from what I've seen so far, these characters are fun and decently written. Overall, I like the characters and I'm hopeful that the main story will improve with future updates. They also kept the social skills system. Kinda wish they didn't, to be honest. This system is connected to the day and night cycle. The game has a special energy source that you can use to do specific activities. Every day, 5 energy will refresh and you can have a maximum of 20 at a time. You can hang out with characters, work a job to just barely afford rent. Just kidding, turns out Wonder is rich, so that's cool, good for him I guess. You can read some smut books at the library, do a singular push-up, and more. And you can play baseball. It's pretty simple, to be honest. It's not that interesting or engaging, and it essentially functions the exact same as it did in Persona 5, but you get some extra bonus rewards out of playing it, so, you know, that's cool, I guess. Also, I think there's like a soccer club you can join, but I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I'm not entirely sure how it works. Like, I don't know if it's a cutscene or if it's actually like a mini game that you can play. Sounds interesting though, so excited to try it out. Something that's really crazy is the fact that there's just a full-blown rhythm game in the game. It's called Band Practice, and it's surprisingly really good. There's multiple songs, multiple difficulties, and the hard difficulties are, believe it or not, difficult. It's genuinely a really good mode. It's really fun, and I hope the game continues to add fun game modes like the band system because it's just fun, you know? Can you tell that this part wasn't scripted? These activities raise your social skills, which unlock various things. However, because this is a gacha game, this process is extremely slow. I think the max level is 20 for an individual stat, I could be wrong about that, which takes forever to reach. Not only that, some stats like charm or strength only have 1 or 2 activities that level them up, and they give very little EXP, which makes the process even worse than it already is. The social skill system sucks and I wish it wasn't in the game. I get it, it was a big part of Persona 3, 4, and 5, but it just doesn't really work in the context of a live service game. Persona X is a great Persona game with a bunch of gacha garbage slapped on top of it, so let's talk about said garbage. The gacha system itself is pretty standard. 2 types of banners, a permanent standard banner and a temporary premium banner featuring a special character. The game uses the 50-50 pity system popularized by Genshin Impact. The first time you get a 5-star, you have a 50% chance of either getting the featured premium character or one of the permanent standard characters. If you get a standard character, the next 5-star you get is guaranteed to be the premium featured character. Also, the game has a different pity system where if you do 79 summons and do not get a single 5-star, your 80th summon is guaranteed to be a 5-star. The premium weapon banner functions the same way, however, there is no standard weapon banner, only premium, which is interesting, to be honest. Some premium characters will eventually be added to the permanent standard banner pool, keyword being some. Hate to break it to you, but the really strong, cool, hype characters like Joker won't be the ones added. Rather, it will be the random one-offs that most people don't really care about, like the nurse. The game gives away a surprising amount of free summon currency. Almost everything that you do will give you some. Story missions, side quests, palace/mementos exploration, the various game modes, treasure chests, events, almost everything. Because of this, the game is surprisingly free to play friendly. But keep in mind, the game is new. It's possible the game will give less rewards as time goes on. Wouldn't be the first time a gacha pulled a bait and switch like that. In fact, the global version is already receiving less rewards in some of the events and less compensation for various things. And the line of communication with the developers is really bad compared to the original Chinese version. However, this is something I'll talk about at the end of the video. But safe to say, things already aren't looking good for the free-to-play friendliness of this game in the long run. Of course, you can also spend your life savings in order to directly buy summons with real money, and the packs are, of course, disgustingly overpriced. Some packs are 10, some are 20, some are 30, some are as much as $80. But sadly, this is par for the course. If you plan on spending money, please be safe and responsible. You can also buy a bunch of other random junk and packs that are not worth it, with the one exception of the $5 monthly subscription. Every day you log in, you get free summon currency and a stamina recharge item for 30 days straight, for a total of 3,000 summon currency, which equals 20 summons. And if you miss a day, don't worry, the currency and stamina recharge will be available in the mail system. 20 summons for $5 is pretty good. Stamina is used in order to farm the various materials, character/weapon enhancement and ascension materials, money, there are some personas locked behind farming stages, and of course, equipment, aka revelation cards. The process of farming is really repetitive and not at all interesting. Sadly, gacha games are obsessed with wasting your time by making you mindlessly farm various enhancement materials, and Persona X is no different. However, one feature that I deeply appreciate is the way that weapon levels work. Every time you switch a character's weapon, the level will transfer to the new weapon. If the first weapon is level 40 and you switch it with a level 1 weapon, it will magically become level 40. Sadly, weapon duplicate levels don't transfer over, so you still have to gamble and spend money in order to duplicate your weapons. This is great because even if you don't have a character's strongest weapon, you can level up whatever weapon you do have guilt-free. Since the level will automatically transfer over, you aren't wasting resources, making the farming of weapon enhancement materials a lot more tolerable. Level up whatever you have now and simply switch it when you have something better. The worst part of this game is the equipment system. Every character can equip 5 revelation cards. Each card belongs to a specific set, and you can activate a 2-piece and a 4-piece set bonus. Each card has a main stat and 4 substats. The Sun card will always have HP at its main stat, but the substats will be randomized. The other 3 cards and a special 5th card, however, will always have random main and substats. This means that when trying to build your character, you have to hope RNGesus blesses you and gives you the proper stats. Because of this, you are forced to mindlessly play the exact same equipment stages for days, if not weeks, if not months in a row, depending on how unlucky you are. And you have to do this for every single character that you want to use. This system sucks because the only reason it's here is to psychologically manipulate you into logging in every single day. This is not fun, rewarding, or engaging in any way, and the game would be dramatically better if it simply did not exist. I am sick and tired of gacha games having this bullshit RNG equipment system. They don't need this shit. Dear developers, I like your game. You don't have to include this garbage RNG equipment system to trick me into playing. I will log in and buy the monthly pack because I find the gameplay fun, engaging, and strategic. I love the main characters and the side characters are decent. The villains sucked, but apparently that will improve. And exploring the palaces is fun. Revelation cards actively make the game worse and makes me want to quit the game. These cards give characters a massive boost in power, so I am forced to grind these stages if I want to comfortably clear endgame content, and I hate that. I am already gambling for characters and weapons. Why the fuck are you also making me gamble for cards? The only equipment system this game should have are the weapons. That's it. This is not fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! I wish gacha developers would understand that adding a trash system like this only makes people want to stop spending money and potentially quit the game. Nobody enjoys this RNG infested hellscape, and the game would be better off without it. I got Joker and his weapon. He should be near max power just with that. I say near because I didn't summon for duplicates, but no, instead I have to now mindlessly farm for stupid fucking cards to make him actually strong. What a goddamn disappointment and waste of my time and money. Honestly, this is one of the reasons I don't spend a lot of money in these gacha games, because even if I get max dupes of a character which could cost me upwards of $5,000, they still won't be strong if I don't grind for RNG fucking equipment. Fuck! Sorry, I've been holding that in for years at this point. I fucking hate these. It's so annoying. I hate it. I needed that. Let's talk about the various game modes. The game has 3 main endgame modes, and of course, this game has a stamina system. Luckily, the main story and palace/mementos exploration is not locked behind stamina. Let me repeat that. The main story and palace/mementos exploration does not require stamina. Thank fuck. I'm so happy, G, because oh my god, this could have been so much worse. Anyways, you can freely explore and progress the story to your heart's content. The Velvet Trials are a pretty simple mode. There are multiple quote-unquote trials, each specializing in a specific element. Enemies are weak to that element, so the idea is to build a team that can take advantage of that elemental weakness and defeat the enemies as fast as possible. I like this mode because it incentivizes the player to build multiple different characters. An can destroy the fire stage, Joker can annihilate the curse stage, Banana can perform decently in the electric stage. It's a simple mode, but it's fun for what it is, and I appreciate that it incentivizes you to build multiple characters. Trials from the Sea of Souls is an interesting mode. There are 3 stages and 2 boss fights. The 3 stages each take you to a small room with 3 different battles. The goal is to win within a certain amount of turns in order to get 3 stars. The bosses are immortal. The goal is to do as much damage as possible to get a high score. The higher the score, the more rewards you get. This mode refreshes every couple of weeks, and if you get a certain amount of stars, you rank up after the refresh. The higher your rank is, the better rewards you get. Gates of the Nightmare Catcher is a mode connected to the guild system. The guild is extremely bare bones, so I won't go too deep into it because there isn't much to talk about. There's a shop with some nice rewards, and you can hang out in a children's playground. For some reason, yay! Nightmare Catcher is basically the exact same as the Sea of Souls boss, an immortal boss where the goal is to get a high score. The higher the score, the better the reward. The only difference is that the bosses are a bit more gimmicky. For example, this one will split the damage a single enemy receives to every enemy. And that's about it. Overall, I think the endgame modes are pretty good, each offering a different goal and challenge. What I really appreciate though is that these modes highly incentivizes. Can you tell my voice is cracking after screaming earlier? I should drink some water, but I'm not gonna do that. Anyways, let me repeat myself. And that's about it. Overall, I think the endgame modes are pretty good, each offering a different goal and challenge. What I really appreciate though is that these modes highly incentivizes you to build multiple different characters in order to tackle the different challenges, rather than just hyper investing into one team to destroy everything. Theoretically, you could do that, but I'm glad the game encourages you. What? I said that weirdly. Theoretically, you could do that, but I'm glad the game encourages you to not, because it helps make the game fun in the long run. Joker will always be good for curse content, so building him is rewarding. Ann will always be good for fire content, so building her is rewarding, so on and so forth. Granted, some characters are better than others, but this game does buff older characters, so everyone will be usable to some degree. Even though older characters will always be usable to some degree, new characters will have unique skills, gimmicks, and playstyles, so summoning and using them is, say it with me now, fun and rewarding. There's one last thing we have to talk about, but before we do, I want to share my current stance on this game. Persona X is a very conflicting game. Half of it is a really fun Persona game, good turn-based strategy gameplay, nice visuals, decent exploration, fantastic main characters as long as you ignore Wonder, that garbage self-insert main character, adequate side cast, and sucky villains for now. Supposedly that's gonna get better, but I have no idea if that's actually true or not. And a variety of fun endgame content. At least, in my opinion, I think it's fun. But the other half is a gacha-filled hellscape. The usual stuff like a stamina system to artificially delay character growth, having to either log in every day to squeeze out as much free-to-play sum currency and get insanely lucky to get characters and weapons, or drop hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to get said characters and weapons. And of course, the trash fucking RNG equipment system, also known as revelation cards. Half of me really wants to recommend you play this game, and the other half wants me to tell you to run away and get as far away as possible before it's too late. But if you made it this far into the video, I'll leave that decision to you. So, is it just me or does my hair look really weird? I don't know what it is, but something's not quite right. Something's going on here. Whatever, not important. Anyways, so for as much as I like Persona X, I highly struggle to recommend that you actually play it because the global version is noticeably worse in a couple of key aspects than the original Taiwanese version that released a little over a year ago. So problem number one, we are getting noticeably less free-to-play rewards than the original Taiwanese version. And reason number two, our line of communication with the developers is really bad. And that mostly has to do with the fact that the company in charge of the global version is SEGA. And SEGA doesn't have a great track record when it comes to like gacha games. So yikes. So I don't want to talk about everything that's going on with the global version because a lot of things are going on. And if I talked about everything, we would be here for a long time. So I want to use like a couple of key, like obvious examples. So example number one, this has to do with the free-to-play rewards that we're getting. So currently we have a login event where for the next 7 days, when you log in, you will automatically get a free summon token for the premium weapon banner. However, the Taiwanese version, when they got this exact same event, they got 10 summons, or 10 summons. Global is only getting 7. For some reason, we are getting 3 less summon tokens. Who knows why? We just are. Another example is that when a new update releases, they release what is known as update compensation, which is just like free summon currency as a, like, we're sorry that you couldn't play between these certain amount of hours while the game was updating. The Taiwanese version gets 600 summon currency, which equals 4 summons, but global only got 100, which is not even one summon, because one summon costs 150. For some reason, we got 6 times less summon currency as our compensation. Why? Who knows? I don't know why. We just did. And there's a lot of examples like that where for some reason global is just getting shafted. We are getting significantly, or not significantly, but a noticeable less amount of rewards. That might not seem like a big deal, but that kind of stuff adds up. As an example, in, let's say, 10 updates, the Taiwanese version would have gotten a total of 6,000 summon currency, which equals 40 summons through update compensation. Do you know how much global would have gotten in 10 updates? 1,000. That's not even a multi, because a multi costs 1,500. We would have gotten 1,000. That's like 6.5 summons or something like that, or 7 summons, something like that. Like, that is noticeably worse. Taiwan gets 40 summons, global gets like 7 summons. You know, like, that's what I mean when I say this kind of stuff adds up. And the reason that's important is because at the end of the day, this is a live service game where the amount of free-to-play rewards we are getting is really important, especially for free-to-play players. Like somebody who spends a lot of money on these kinds of games like whales or dolphins, it's not that important because you just have a lot of money to burn anyway, so who cares? But for free-to-play players, that stuff is really important. So when it comes to the line of communication, it's just atrocious. It's really bad, and this mostly has to do with the fact that we are technically talking to SEGA, which is yikes. So as an example, when the version 1.1 livestream went, or the English version of the version 1.1 livestream went live, it was 3 hours after the update launched. So the update released, and then 3 hours later, we got the live stream talking about the content of the update. And it's like, what? And it was only the English version, like the other version, which I believe is the Japanese version, because global is like a lot of Western regions and Japan. It's like combined together. The Japanese version released on time, but global got delayed by 3 hours after the update released. It was crazy. It was insane. Another example is the fact that in the original Taiwanese version of Persona X, the character Minami, I think her name is, the doctor lady, like here's a picture of her. She was a premium character that got added as a permanent standard character the update after she released. So I think in Taiwan, she released in version 1.2, and then she got added to the global version in 1.3. That's not gonna happen with global, and we don't know why, and we don't know when she's gonna get added. For some reason, she's just not gonna be a standard character in version 1.2. She will be a standard character eventually. We just don't know when. For some reason, they just didn't tell us. It could be version 1.3, 1.4, 1.5. Who knows, you know? And that's just like 2 examples The reason this is really bad, the fact that we're getting noticeably less rewards and the line of communication with the developers is really awful, the reason this sucks is because every single time something like this has happened in the past, where the global version of a gacha game that releases 1 or 2 or 3 years after the original version of the gacha, which releases in like China or Japan or Korea or whatever, who cares, doesn't really matter where. Every single time something like this happens, it usually means that the global version is going to die either soon, like within a year or two, or it will survive, but it's just gonna be awful. It's just gonna be noticeably worse than the original version. We're gonna get less rewards, we're gonna get awful communication with the developers, and things are just gonna like snowball. Things will get progressively worse because it starts small like this, where our event update compensation is noticeably reduced. The event login, we're just getting 3 less summons for some reason. And then it snowballs. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And eventually it just feels awful to play the global version. And honestly, I think the global version of the game already kind of has its death warrant signed for a very specific reason. Not because of the rewards or because of the communication, but the fact that there's no English voice acting. I don't think anybody has really talked about it, but it's really weird that this game doesn't have English voice acting. Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5 all had English voice acting. And I know that Persona X is a gacha game, but Persona is a big franchise nowadays. It has grown massively in the last decade, specifically ever since Persona 5 released, but even with like the release of Persona 3 and 4, it slowly got bigger, and then Persona 5 made it blow up. So like, why doesn't this game have English voice acting? I don't think anybody has really talked about it, but it's weird. You know, like, why doesn't it have English voice acting? Like, it has, like, the dialogue is written in English, but everything is in Japanese, I think. I think they're talking in Japanese. I'm not sure. Whatever, who knows? I haven't really been paying that much attention to what they're saying. My current plan is to keep playing until Futaba releases, because I really like Futaba. I think she was a cool character from Persona 5. I really liked her. And she's gonna release in a couple of months. I'm not sure when exactly she releases, but she releases in a couple of months. I figured by that point, I will be able to know for sure where this game is heading, where the global version of this game is heading. Like, is the line of communication gonna get even worse? Are we gonna get even worse rewards? Like, what's gonna happen with the game? You know, I feel like by the time Futaba releases, which is gonna be in a couple of months, you know, I'll be able to tell, like, okay, is this game worth playing or not? So, yeah, I really like the game. I think people should check it out, but I struggle to recommend it because of what I just said. So, we'll see. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You know, feel free to share your own thoughts about the game. Also, if you want to more directly support me, become a channel member for just $5 a month. You can click the join button next to the subscribe button, or you can click on the link in the description, or you can go directly to my channel page and click the big join button. The choice is yours. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.